we came to the last line of the top section on page Samaches, and we're not going to revisit it again. We have spent an enormous amount of time and talking about the principles therein. And essentially and ultimately, we have to find how that translates in our own life and our own avodah. That is what all these insights are all about. In short and in a pointed way, in a principle, it is this. The human being is a phenomenal creature. And he has faculties that are not comparable, that there's nothing comparable to that in the entire creation. Chabad, Chagas, and Nehim, he goes from the top all the way down. He represents the entire spectrum of the creation. The entire spectrum of the creation means that he actually recognizes the creator and the created in its ultimate and the most extreme principles. The creator as he is completely above the creation, and the creation as it is completely within itself. This entire spectrum is utilized, must be utilized in the person's functional day. He must utilize all of his faculties, must utilize his seichel, understand things at his level, on his seichel level. The way the seichel is established in the brain, as you said, seichel at the simplest level of seichel. And then seichel as it is in the pure seichel as it is in the Shama union. And ultimately, he must recognize that he is a godly creation. And there's a godly spark within him that is not really part of him. That God himself inspires him, guides him, gives him the strength and gives him the will to pursue his path and transform the world. This is not his own will. This is the godly presence in him. It is important that he recognizes this phenomenon, both, on the one hand, his capacity, and the other hand, it's not him. Take it easy. Don't fly off the handle. You'll know what to do, but you don't really understand what it is. And you never will. It's not within your capacity to fully understand it. And yet you pursue it, and you do your duty, and you're happy doing it. And now we're going to the conclusion of the Maimer. Ve'al-pi hanal, al-pi hanal, on the basis of that which was discussed just above. Just above means the past half a year or so. Yuvan now will understand Mashakosov, what the Pasuk says, Mimono afar Yaakov misparos Rebbe Yisrael. Translate, who can count afar Yaakov, the dust of Yaakov, or misbar, who can assign a number as Rebbe Yisrael to Rebbe Yisrael. Rebbe Yisrael is not. It has many translations, so we're not going to translate it until we get to the line. Hine, Reva, behold, Reva. The word Reva, Yesh Bei Beis Pirushim. It actually allows for two pirushim. Aleph, Meloshin, Orchi V'Rivi Zilisa. Orchi, my path. V'Rivi. V'Rivi means my arousal. First perspection. We'll see in a moment. Zerisa, you have quickened. You have aroused. This is why make shamim rainwater, a rain, is called reviya. K'mei reviya rishena, reviya shniya. Rain comes in a certain in a seasonal manner. When it comes the rainy season, that is the fall season, and then there are several, especially in soil. It's very precise. There's the day that you expect the first rain, the day that you expect the second rain. The first rain serves to allow the seed to absorb the first and split open. Reviya Shniya, the second rain, this is what is spray, brings out the sprout. The first rain only prepares it, and the second rain, this is the real activator. So Reviya Shniya, the first Reviya means in this context that the rain encompasses and absorbs, embraces the world. The first rain and the second rain. The mitra, because rain, balo diyar.
What's translation of Reviya, the Tarshamanas?
Reviya means to embrace. There are many, and that's one way of the mitra balo diyara. Because the rain is balo diyara. Balo diyara means it's the husband of the earth.
To remain on this call, press 1.
I think I'm going to just let it expire. The base, and another meaning in the word Reva, Meloshin Arba. Reva is actually a derivative of the word Arba, 4. Reva means a quarter. Behoinian, and what is this about? Hine, Knesset Yisrael Nikro B'Shem Eretz. Knesset Yisrael, the congregation of Yisrael, the entire the spectrum of Jewish of the Neshamas Yisrael is called Oretz. K'mei Kosu, what the pasuk says, Eretz, 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 Shimid Var Hashem. You better believe it. This is a real pasuk. 3 times. Eretz, Eretz, Eretz refers to talking to the Jewish, to the Yid. Shimid Var Hashem, listen to Hashem's word. K'mei Kosu b'Teirei b'Divrei Hamaskal Shomayim Kisi. And first in Teirei, Mitra Oshu Balo Deara. Therefore, the rain, which is Balo Deara, which activates, brings out the power of the land, of this land. Hu Ham Shocho. That comes as a result and through the process and through the effect of Teiro Mitzvahs. Was as a result of this and through this process of Teiro Mitzvahs, Nimshach Toisves Oiret b'Neshamas Yisrael. Additional oil, Toisves Oiret, additional oil is drawn b'Neshamas Yisrael and Jewish souls. Just to give us a little bit, a little bit of the meaning of the word Toisves Oiret. What's like Toisves Oiret? Additional oiris. Addition means that which comes from a different source than it itself. An error. The Neshamas Yisrael have their oil and have their sources. Then there is an addition. Addition means that which is not part of its design. Something that comes, as the expression is, from left field, from elsewhere. This happens to be not the left field, but the right field. It adds Toisves Oiret b'Neshamas Yisrael. Then Neshamas Yisrael then are enlightened and have light that which is not really part of their purview.
What's adding this additional light?
Huh?
What is adding this light? What is adding the light?
Okay, I'll let the Rebbe explain.
Oh.
Only he can explain that, okay? ובדרך כלל, in general, in general, this is accomplished as a result of the neshama coming down here below. This seems to be kind of contrary to one's to initial perception. It comes down and you lose oil. But you say no. Neshama coming down lamato, it brings out Toisves Oiret, additional oil.
Increasing.
Additional oil.
Additional oil.
Toisves Oiret doesn't mean increasing. Increasing means you increase what you have. Toisves means something add on.
Right.
Which means that as a result of Torah mitzvahs here below, Magiim, we reach to the Neshamas Yisrael reach Libchinas Ha'oir, to the Bechina of Oir, to the aspect of Oir.
Chulum?
Huh?
What's the chulum?
Cool, yeah. What?
What's it referring to here?
What?
What's it referring to here? Is it
Okay, well,
or something?
I'll try my best. Abei Torah mitzvahs lemato, as a result into the process of Torah mitzvahs here below, Magiim, you reach up, you come to a bechina, to the oir bechina, to the aspect that is called oir, that has an oir quality, an oir effect. Let us first learn inside and then we'll elaborate on. V'hine, behold, neshama shenosato bi tehoiro hi. The neshama shenosato bi, the neshama that you put into me, tehoiro hi. It is toir. It is very pure. It is a godly tar. This is the neshama that you put into me. And putting into me means that this was put into the kelim, into the receptacle, bechinas hakelim. Hu inyan, which is the principle of Yisrael all over Machshav. That Yisrael are in Machshav. Machshav are the kelim for Torah mitzvahs, for Neshamas Yisrael. Validei ha-Torah mitzvahs. And then, as a result of the process of Torah mitzvahs, B'bchinas is kafir v'is hapchol. And the Torah mitzvahs require, the way of Torah mitzvahs has the process of two steps. Iskafia means subjugation, subduing the bodily, the keli, and then there is hapcha, and then transformation. Boyim, thereby, you come to reach up to the point, lishtova begufo de malko. Lishtova begufo de malko, to embrace and to be touched by gufo de malko, by the body of the melech. Gufo de malko means, we'll discuss it after we get the whole presentation. Gufo de malko means the essence of the melech, not just an expression, an oil, but the gufo de malko. Hainu bechinas ha-oiros, which is bechina of the oils. Okay, so let's stop for a moment. The meaning of oiros is what we've been discussing for the longest time. Oiros means many oiros. What is the implication of many oiros? Many oiros is an implication that this is something which has no limit. Just as the Gashmis, as we spoke many times, you look at this object, how many ways can you see this? Is there a limit? How come? It's a very small object. The answer is because it's a reality. Only God can create such a reality. It's called Yesh Mi'ayin. And therefore, there is no limit. Whichever way you turn, it's there. Not only it's there, but you recognize its entire truth. It's a real thing from this angle, from that angle, it's real.
Nimshal here. And the nimshal.
So this is called oiros. Oiros means that you recognize, you see godliness not from some kind of a functional perspective. It has this effect or that effect. But the very presence of it. L'ishtava begufa de malka. What's gufa de malka? Gufa means the body.
Oris here corresponds to gufa de malka?
No, l'ishtava. This is it's drawn from it's reflected from gufa de malka. Because there is a reality from it. There is no particular direction, particular statement there.
So back to the marshal. There's no limit to the amount of different ways you could see the object.
That's right.
Okay.
And the reason there's no limit the different areas, you can see the object, and that from all the ways that you see the same object, and you see the truth of it, the reality, because it's real.
Yeah.
This is not, in other words, it's beyond function. Its presence is way beyond function. Anything that exists in the world beyond function is a direct creation from the Creator. This is what the Rambam says, we quoted yesterday. Rambam says, there's a Motzoi Rishon, the first being. A first being means a being that has no defining factor. How come it's here? It doesn't have that defining element. It doesn't even have the question is not even applicable, because it's completely above the whole phenomenon of what does it stand for. This is what the Rambam continues to say. Amit is also the truth of his presence. Can anybody define the word truth in a real sense? True, and we spoke about it many times, true is a relative statement. It's true, not false. Then there is a deeper end, true, it really came to be. Truth doesn't come to be. Anything that has a possibility of not being is not truth. This is beyond the intelligent human capacity for understanding. Totally beyond. It's a gift that we were given to recognize this phenomenon. And this is what sets us, so to speak, on path of light, and we are ready to do b'mesiras nefesh, b'hiskafi v'hizhabcha, contrary to our personal inclination, because we want to be with the truth. Our personal inclination is going to put us on a very narrow and sometimes a meaningless path. But we want to be bestowen begufend the malka. This is what's accomplished by the union that the matter here below, and didn't have Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs, as the Rebbe says, this requires iskafia v'yizhabch. What is the significance of subjugation oneself, and izhabch and transform? How does that change who you are? What's the point in that? On the contrary, we would think, no, develop, bring out your qualities. Bring out your qualities, but not your qualities as they defined at your level. Your qualities as they are provided by the Creator. Yizhapa means like this. Yizhapa means subjugation, and then you lead to Yizhapa. You would think the more you subjugate, the less you have of yourself. You mevatel yourself completely. The more you mevatel yourself, the truer you become. It's an amazing thing. If you mevatel yourself, so there'll be nothing left. What happens in fact, the more you mevatel yourself, the greater you become, the truer you become. To the point where his hapcha, you transform your worldly definition to a godly definition. This is the reveal. This is the feeding of in giving, so to speak, a power that is beyond the recipients. It's something which is affected by the power itself. This is what REBBE says. The effect of a man to the woman is the man gives the woman a completely different status. Even though the woman is the one who begets the children, she carries and so on, but the power of creation is in the man, not in the woman. Because he has this koyach of, and he draws it directly from the neshama. This is called REBBE. Torah mitzvahs is roivay mitzvah. This is where the divine power that is invested in Eden surfaces, begins to function. This is the mitzvah. Mitzvah, the pshat. You're doing something right. You're doing something good. It's beneficial. It's complete understatement. The giving tzedakah. What can be more reasonable, more obvious that you're doing a good thing? You're helping this person out. So we say, yes, you're doing a good thing, but thereby you're actually performing a godly act. And you transform the world into a godly world.
A godly act because you're becoming the kind of person you're meant to be, or because you're fulfilling God's will, or both?
But because you're fulfilling God's will. Not the kind of person you are meant to be. Beyond your person.
Yeah, but
it's a godly spark in you that's acting at that moment. Because to give money from your pocket that you can buy for yourself, use for yourself, and give it away, means that you are completely negating your own interest.
Yeah, that's the scut here. But his hapcha
is the next step.
A transformation, yeah.
The next step.
Yeah.
After his hapcha, you reach the point of his hapcha. After his kafir, you reach the point of his hapcha. That's it's in the same vein, but it's in a higher level, in a deeper level. His hapcha is when you know that this is the truth, but you're not into it up there. His hapcha is when that becomes part of you.
Okay. And just to get clarity on the point made before, that you go against your personal inclinations, which are narrow, and you're going to subjugate yourself, but could it be summarized like this?
Subjugate
you put
yourself
aside your
means
first inclination to get to something that's. You've put aside your first inclination, your first nature, to get to a more real, the way you're meant to be. Would that be a way to summarize it?
What's Gafia?
Yeah.
Okay, examine your words carefully. If you're doing it in order to get someplace, you haven't subjugated anything.
Right. It's not a means to an end. But we did say, by his subjugation, all his faculties start to work in full.
On a different level, on his faculty level. What is this different level?
Yeah.
Subjugation is not subduing yourself. Subjugation is subduing yourself to the Creator, so that the Creator acts through you. That's his kafir, and the next step is his hapcha. That's what it's Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs. This is Dvar Hashem. This is the Eibishter's participation in our life. Aseres HaDibris is the encapsulation of the entire Torah. The first 5 Dibros speak about Hashem Himself. Onecha Hashem Elokecha. Completely beyond world. Li'ilcha le'macherim and so forth. The second half speaks about Le'tirtzach, Le'signov, Le'sinov, Le'sana b'rachei tzokir. How do these two fit in the same breath? Come on, don't you see what we're dealing with here, over here? When you come to talk about Gneva and Zela. So this is telling you clearly that this is what Torah Mitzvah says. That like Signoid is of the same caliber and it's the same statement. Adonai Hashem Elokecha. Thank you. Adonai Hashem Elokecha. How come this? Oh,
No, I guess maybe you just got.
He
to
wasn't
it now.
there. Yeah, he wasn't there. Yeah. And this is called Hainu Bechinas Ha'oiros. Bechinas Ha'oiros means the top of this page, Mentes, or Samachtes. There is the oil which is in the keli. That is the oil when it descends down, and it becomes like the keli. But as a result of the Aveda in Torah Mitzvahs, Yidden relate directly to the oilers themselves. Excuse me, this is the daily process until oiros means how the emanation comes directly from Atzmos. This is the oiros the way they are oil in Seif. Like we explained before, what's meant oil in Seif? Oil in Seif is that which speaks about the truth itself. And that comes as a result. Torah Mitzvahs, Torah Mitzvahs demands, requires this kafi v'zhap. Because they're counterintuitive. It's not, you're not doing that which fits into your thought process. What then is it that you're doing? You're doing it because there is a godly presence right here. This is what we said before. That the REBBE explains that in the Ein Sof element in the Atzeret and Aseret Agnudis, and there's two things. There is their own caliber, and then their association with the Ein Sof. And this is true by Yidden also. There is the Yid, the koiches that the Rebbe should put into a human being are phenomenal koiches. His own seichel and midas and so forth. But then there is a super quality that he gets as a result of his association with his maker. Then his koich is completely beyond the created world, but it's a godly koich. V'zehu, and thus this is the implication of the word reva. Reva loshen arba. Reva is a derivative of the word arba. Arba means four. What does four have to do with this, what we discussed? The gimel emes biyah he machshava dibra ma'isa. The three worlds of biyah, b'ri, yitzir, asiya, they represent and correspond in the human level to machshava dibra ma'isa. Just very briefly, Machshava Dibur Ma'isa correspond to the three worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. We all can readily understand and recognize the difference between these three qualities. Starting bottom up, Ma'isa is an action. The action is something which takes place outside, and a person affects something external in the world. And this effect is sometimes could be very significant. Like you build something, you write something, which represents a human talent, human seichel, and so forth. Nonetheless, that action is an effect in an area or at a level that in itself does not have the highest. When you take a nail and knock it into a piece of wood, the nail does not come to life because it's now holding up the wood. It remains in its gashmizik, in its worldly state. But a human being, because of his understanding of how to build things, he can bring it down all the way down to the action, asisi. Take a nail, bang it into a piece of wood, and together, then you have a table standing. The table doesn't come to life as a result of that. The table doesn't understand what it stands for. Nonetheless, it represents that seichel and that intent at the asiya level, at the action level. It's called asiya. Then there is a higher level. This is the world of asiya. The higher level is dibur. Dibur is where you describe what you're going to do. The asiya, the action, like we said, the nail in the wood, the nail and the wood, none of them know what is happening here. The nail doesn't know that it's connecting two pieces of wood. And the two pieces of wood don't know that they're connected via the nail. And what the connection is all about. In dibur, in speech, you're going to say, I'm going to nail this in. And what does that mean? It means that by nailing it in, these two pieces of wood are going. And the reason I'm going to nail it in because I want the two pieces of wood to stand together. So this is a statement at the asiya level, but it's describing the asiya for its purpose, rather than just the action. So this is asiya reflects the significance of this action. That's it deeper. Then there is machshava. Machshava, thought, is actually a reflection, a direct reflection of the significance of the life element in the person, the intelligence. In thought, you're not even thinking about the nail on the wood. You think about the table. The nail on the wood is a means to reflect that projection of what you want to make. That's a machshava. Machshava is a reflection, a revelation of the seichel ha'adam on the moral level. These are the three worlds: Asiya, Bria, Asiya, Yitzira, and Bria.
So Dibur, Yitzira, and Machshava is
Bria.
I didn't get the point on Dibur.
Dibur is where he's describing your action, but not just the action per se. The action, including the purpose of this action. I'm going to nail this into the wood. The implication is not the nailing. The implication is I'm going to nail it so that the two pieces will stand together. This is Yitzira. Bria is a direct reflection of Atzilus, of the way it is in the Seichel order.
Bria is what?
Huh?
Bria is what?
Bria is Machshava, is a direct reflection the way it is in Seichel. Machshava is called Machshava is also lavush as a garment, but it's called lavush hamechuber. It reflects the way the inner is. Machshava, you do not have to put the seichel into machshava. Machshava is in direct privy, is sensitive, it senses what's going on in the seichel. That's machshava. This is also a garment, but it's a garment of a close-up garment that is sensitive of what's going on in the seichel order.
Yetzira is a 4. How does that?
Any concept at the neshama level, if you want to bring that into the world, you have to put it in some kind of worldly form.
This is an Yetzira.
This is Yitzira. Yitzira is where it is formulated. Asiya is where it's made. How do you translate a table? You conceptualize a form of a table.
And Bria is the inception.
And the Bria is the essence, the essential significance of it.
Not the inception, to say like the whole thing of a table.
Yeah, but it's inception the way it is in seichel, not in practice. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the top one. V'zehu REBBE Loshen Arba. And this is the significant word, REBBE. REBBE Loshen Arba is a derivative of the word Arba 4. Huh? Reba, it comes from the word Arba. Reba means a quarter. Loshen Arba.
A quarter of
what?
A quarter of what?
Okay, one second. What is this in implication? The Gimel must be because the three worlds of Bria, Tzira, Sira, He, Machshava, Dibur, Ma'aseh. This is 3. So therefore, there is 3 worlds: Machshava, Dibur, and Ma'aseh. Where is 4 come in? However, the Ba'asiyah Ksiv, when the Pasuk says, the Pasuk is Berosiv Yitzartem Af Asisiv. Berosiv is Bria, Yitzartem means Yitzira, Af Asisiv is Asiyah. So Ba'asiyah Ksiv, when it comes to Asiyah, it says Af Asisiv. Af means even Asisiv, also Asisiv. What is this Af? Where does Af come in? Bria, Berosiv Yitzartem Asisiv. What is Af Asisiv? Af Asisiv, Lahaf Sigoinyan, This is to point to a hefsek, to an interruption. It's not a direct flow. Bria, tzino, asiya. Between asiya and tzino, there is a hefsek. And this hefsek is af marve bechinas and bechina revi'is. It actually adds a fourth quality, which is bechinas atzilus. This is the oiros aspect as they are reflected in the world. Okay, this is it for today.
The oiris is asiya.
Oiro atzilus. Okay.
In af asisif, there is the atzilus. In the af.
Af.
All of asiya.
That's right. That's right. That's what we said. With this kafi and this hapra, you come to oiros.
na na